Namaskar to all of you. Little background that all of you know that NAC is currently looking at reforms based on Dr. Radhakrishnan committee recommendations. It also so happened that I joined on 28th July 2023. On the same day, I was inducted into that committee, Dr. Radhakrishnan committee, and I had the opportunity of working with Dr. Radhakrishnan. And I also had sufficiently good exposure to NAC and its activities because I was a member of the executive committee. So I had requested him that a few changes have to be made. He agreed with that. We got this ready, and the reforms now is expected to change the way that we are looking at quality of education. And but organization like ours and faculty members like you have a bigger role to play in successfully implementing these reforms. So what I'll do is little bit talk about current status of accreditation and a note on reforms and plans, an overview of binary accreditation, and metrics and measurements if time is there, and if any of you want to know a little bit about what exactly happens. Then we'll have discussions. And so feel free to stop me at any point in time. It's our community, so we can be open, both in terms of suggestions and you can also be critical about what we are presenting. And Singalji is there in our executive committee, and last meeting he asked a lot of questions. So he knows he will ask a lot of questions today also, I hope. But others also can ask questions. So the one thing that these bullet points are very known to all of you. And when we talk about Viksit Bharat 2047, and when we want to be one of the largest economy of the world, and I think it will happen much before that. I mean, it will happen in 30s itself, it will happen. And when we get economic leadership, when we achieve that, what is equally important for us to get social inclusiveness? And even today, with our government there for 10 plus years now, there are so many things which are not corrected, which needs still a lot of efforts to correct, be it at corruption, be it at discrimination, be it at crime against women. There are so many still which is not going away. And therefore, we need to look at the situation where if social development, inclusive society is not achieved, there's no point in achieving economic leadership. So it has to go hand in hand. Therefore, we need to look at what else we need to really focus. And all of us know that the so-called demographic dividend, where the sizable percentage of a population belongs to young people. And these young people, particularly in the age group of 17 to 21, if they graduate out of colleges and if they don't get meaningful jobs and opportunities to become an entrepreneur or opportunities to work in the government, NGO and others, or higher studies, the dividend that we talk about will become a burden to our nation. So therefore, the role of higher education is becoming the center of everything. And this next 15-20 years, what our Prime Minister calls as Amrit Kaal, is where all of us have a role to play as teachers, as educational administrators, and organizations like ours have a great role to play. And the very first time for decades and centuries, we were looking at other countries, and this is happening in America, this is happening in UK, this is happening in Australia, it is not happening here. That's what we see. And every time as academic we go abroad to attend conferences or on fellowships and things like that, we come back and say that we don't have this, we don't have that. For the first ever time, we are looking at from outside in to inside out. Today, our education policy NEP 2020 is looking at what rest of the world can learn from India, in the sense that all the best things that we have had in the past for many decades, centuries ago. Look at Nalanda, Takshashila, and others. And we were a second largest economy of the world at some time. And we are trying to bring the whole history in those aspects, but the role of higher education, that what we had in the last 50 years or plus is completely not relevant. And we have realized that, and the new education policy is setting that trend now. Another important thing is we are talking about GER of current 28-29% to 50% by 2037. And this GER increase is essential. Obviously, looking at the population, we need to increase the GER. However, the quality of education is also equally important. And you cannot look at the quantity and leaving the quality. And you cannot completely focus on quality because the quantity has also to be made. So there is a dilemma now. And how we are going to do that is very important. But the new accreditation policy, which is inspired through NEP 2020, if you carefully look at NEP 2020 document, the higher education section, there are 14 places in which accreditation word is used. Okay, if you look at what is that, how these 14 times how accreditation is connected to NEP or quality of education. So the first thing is it talks about basic norms, public disclosure, good governance and outcomes. I think all the terms are self-explanatory. But is it really there is the question. Okay, the first is basic norms. And the regulators, be it at UGC or AICT or the other regulators like Medical Council, legal and others, it's a lot of difficulty in ensuring basic norms of the basic requirements to run an institution. And the second is, as a nation, as a culture, we never disclose and we keep everything together and we don't publicly announce what we are doing. We need to, if we want to know, you need to go, the only route is RTI. Otherwise, it's not available readily, the details to you. So, as far as higher education concerned, it talks about public disclosure. No need to explain good governance. Okay, good governance is center of everything. And finally, the outcomes. And a little bit later, I'll talk about how the policy is focusing on outcomes. Accreditation is a mechanism for regulation. If you carefully read, today regulation happens separately. All regulators like UGC, ICTE, and then the institution comes for accreditation. But policy tweaks this, says accreditation is first, then it will regulate, use it as a regulation mechanism. So that is a big change, and if it is achieved, okay. And determining focus, whether you want to be a teaching institution, research institution, or a combination of both, all that will be determined based on accreditation. And autonomy, needless to talk about it, both academic autonomy and administrative autonomy. And that autonomy, if you achieve, you have degree granting opportunity. That degree granting autonomous colleges. And incentivized to expand the capacity. Today, UGC, ICT and the other bodies have a very strict mechanism of increasing the capacity, number of seats. But based on your accreditation status, you will automatically get the increase in capacity. So the regulator uses the accreditation status to do that. And determine pace of growth, how we want to grow. Today's challenge is, I come from NIT Trichy, so we started about 25-30 PG programs in engineering and other disciplines. Then we realized that those programs are not selling in the market, meaning that they are not getting placements, and some of you are not able to close the programs. And we are not able to launch programs in areas where we have good potential. Therefore, accredited institutions with autonomy will be able to decide what to run, how much students, everything they will decide. And finally, internationalization opportunity. Whether you want to look at going to other states at the national level, going to other countries, your autonomous, accreditation status will allow you to do that. That's what NEP really talking about. They are far-reaching in terms of where we were and where we are going to be if the policy is fully implemented. we will be globally known institutions, if not all of them, but many of them. This slide, all of you know, whatever I am talking, is about accreditation today. What are the challenges? And I want to pick up few more bullets from this discussion. Let's see. First is lack of focus on quality. Now, if you go to Wikipedia and search quality, okay, the meaning of quality, it is fitness to use. Fitness to use a service or a product. Are we really looking at today, when our students are graduating from our campuses, are they fit for use? Who are the users? Firstly, he himself a user. Okay. Second, his parents, the employer, society at large. He is looking at from every student who is coming out of the college. So many things are expected, and our students are meeting that requirement. Even today, with so much economic development, 30 to 40% of engineers are not employable. Okay, look at their own onboarding to society, and the more they educate, more crimes they are committing now, more ways of committing mistakes and crimes. So what is that our education is giving to them? You are not employable, you are not aligned into the societal requirements, you are not aligned into the culture of the country, then what are we doing in terms of education? So therefore, we need to really look at on everyday basis that are we adding quality to our students? Are we adding value to our students? This is not happening. Honestly, it's not happening. And we need to really look at, as teachers, when you leave the classroom after lecturing for 2 hours, 1 hour, what is that I have done to the student today? Have I done any small marginal increment in any of the needed things? Have I done that is the question that we need to ask. Our administrators, every day when they finish their office, should ask themselves, what is that I have done to the higher education quality? Is the focus. So, need for incentives commensurate with accreditation. You talk about 12B, 2F, and all that. This is not good enough. Okay, you need to, based on the accreditation status, you should get funds, you should get additional facilities, research funding, and all that. We need to link accreditation along with the benefits. The third is fear of not getting good grade as per the current methodology. This is the biggest challenge. You know, there are institutions which are telling me, sir, in my region, there are 5 colleges, and you have today accredited 1 college, and you have given A+ grade, which is completely not right. They don't deserve A+ grade, but you have given A+ grade. If I go for accreditation, by chance I don't get A+, I am a better college, many times better college, but if I don't get A+, then it is complete, the game is over for me. So I don't want to go for accreditation. Okay, so the one mistake that you do, it is affecting the other person. So many institutions today do not come for accreditation because fear of not getting good grade. It is human tendency, right? Many of you are fairly senior people. Now, we don't go to doctors, you know. Why? The doctor will say you have this disease or that disease. You don't go for blood test. You hesitate every day. You don't do that because the doctor will find out this is deficient, that is deficient. That's the same attitude with the institutions also. So that is the next one. Looking at our own methodology today, large number of metrics, 5-year data used for accreditation, that's another challenge. And many institutions do not have data. As a culture, we don't collect data at source, validate, keep it ready for any submission. We don't do it. Like students studying at the end of the semester for 10 days, 15 days, at the end of the period, we start looking for data. Okay? Then if the data is not there, you manufacture the data. Create the data and submit it. So that is a major problem now. Long cycle time. I know G knows that there are people talking about 8 months, 12 months time we have taken to accredit institutions. We get into so many issues, technology issues, process issues, and sometimes the institution do not submit data properly. So currently we are doing a 4 months average, the end-to-end application to thing. And also lengthy process with multiple steps. You talk about IIQA, approval, SSR, pre-qualification, then visit. then if you are not happy with that outcome, then appeal, the whole process. So this actually works against the whole objective. Does not consider maturity of institutions. You look at, you are a first cycle institution or a fifth cycle institution, we use the same manual. We don't consider the maturity of the institution. Although it is measured indirectly through the grades that they get, but it doesn't explicitly measure the maturity. And also doesn't consider heterogeneity and variability. India is a vast country. 60 to 70% of the institutions are located in rural and remote areas. And we use the same manual for a college which is in Delhi, you call it Hindu college or some college, and another college is somewhere in Bihar and Jharkhand. The same manual for both of them. How can it fit? How is it possible for that rural college to meet the standards of a college in Delhi? But we are doing that. And the challenge is an objective measurement. Our methodology today is 70% quantitative, 30% qualitative. The 70% quantitative, which is supposed to be objective, has a lot of subjective element. And that is where the whole problem now is. G knows last EC minutes I circulated, our chairman replied back to all EC members, why are you doing this? Then I had to give an explanation. Now, every time when we assess and somebody gets 3.95, once we start reviewing, it becomes 3.25. Now, how is it possible? You are take objective evaluation based on numbers, then also we have this problem. See, we learned now that there is a lot of subjectivity in the way people look at the data. The same data, person A looks at in one way, person B looks at another way. So that is the problem now. The last but one is unhealthy competition. Now what has happened is that, since it's our closed community, I can tell you that privatization has to an extent spoiled the education system. But it had a lot of plus points as well. When we were not having GR, then we privatized, more private institutions came, the GR improved. But the quality, they defined what is quality. The private institution defined the quality in their own terms. Okay? And because of which, today in accreditation, all that is happening, unfair practices are started by private institutions. Now the government institutions have no clue of how to do it. You don't have money, the way that they deal with private institutions. And you don't fetch data. You don't create data. But private institutions engage consultants and create this data. There are private universities using top 5 consulting companies, KPMG to such companies, to do this work. And they pay in crores of rupees to those consulting companies to create this data. Okay, so here is the problem. The unhealthy competition led to unfair practices. These unfair practices has completely invaded omnipresent in the entire system now. Now, the last 1 year, with our executive committee, my own chairman, Anil Sahasrabudhe and everybody, on daily basis we are looking at how do we stop this? How do we close these holes? How do we stop some non-entities coming into the system? But this is really challenging. But the current recommendation is will help. Because of this, what happened today? Only 40% of universities are accredited. 60% of the universities are not accredited. Look at the other thing, 15% of colleges are only accredited. NAC has existed for 30 years. We are celebrating 30th Foundation Day on September 16th. In 30 years, with all our efforts, we are able to accredit only 15% of the colleges. Okay, and these 15%, another disaster happened. In the last 5 years, we accredited 12,000 institutions. Only 5,400 institutions have valid grade. Remaining 5,000 institutions never came back to us. They came once, accredited, for whatsoever reason, they never came back. You cannot have an organization where you are serving a large community and somebody came to you first is not coming to you again. There is something wrong with the whole system. That's what we realize now. So what do we do? Look at the data in more detail. Although I have data about state, regions, everywhere, but I'm presenting, I hope it is readable, but I'll read it for you. No, the university percentage I told you, right? The college, you look at 45,000 colleges, out of which only 6,176 colleges have valid grade, which is 14%, roughly 14%. Look at government aided private colleges, 10% government, the aided is a little better, 31%, and private is 11%. Now, for us to look at the future, particularly in the NEP context, we need to look at two things. One is implement a light but tight accreditation methodology, assure a threshold level of quality to all stakeholders, and onboard a large number of institutions to the quality assurance system. First of all our institutions should know there is something called quality. It is measured through these attributes, and we need to get onboarded into that. It is not possible by a very complex system, again, like the present system. You need to simplify largely, make the process, and reduce the fee and other things that you need to do. Invite the institutions to come for accreditation first. But then, if you set a lower threshold level of quality, and when you become international level institutions, when you serve the communities, when you serve the industry by setting a lower threshold level, that's where the recommendation or aim is to provide a guided path to HAIs for gradually and systematically to improve their quality to the regional and international levels through a maturity-based framework. Okay, this is what the Dr. Radhakrishnan Committee recommendation is also focusing. I'll just spend few minutes on this. One is, there are three primary recommendations. One is launching of binary accreditation. What is this binary accreditation? The institution submits data, we analyze the data, and the institution meets certain threshold level, which is yet to be decided. They are accredited, otherwise they are not accredited. So if you are accredited, yes, you are meeting that minimum threshold level of quality. And if you are not accredited, then you will get a report of where are the areas or aspects where you need to improve. You may focus on improving that. After 6 months or 1 year, you need to come back. By and large, in the PMO, in the ministry, they are saying that the binary accreditation should be mandatory, meaning that every institution should get accredited through binary within a specified time. They are talking about 3 years, 6 years. I'm sure some time will be given. Technically, after some time, the institution is not coming for binary accreditation, they have to close. Otherwise, there is no way that we can get a common quality system for the nation. Okay, if you still leave the institution outside the accreditation system. We'll talk a little bit on binary accreditation. The second one is maturity-based graded levels. Now, once an institution is accredited and they know what are the parameters and how to prepare data and all that, then they can apply for a graded level. The concept is very simple. If some of you know what is called capability maturity model, in software industry they use, please refer capability maturity model. It is a very common sense approach where an organization moves from one level to the highest level, lowest level to highest level by systematically building the competencies. Which means a level 1 institution has to fulfill certain requirements to go to level 2, from level 2 to level 3 and so on. The level 5 institution, as per the Dr. Radhakrishnan Committee recommendation, is institutions of global excellence for multidisciplinary education and research. Institutions of global excellence, multidisciplinary education, research as well as focus. If you look at that level 5 institution today in India, there can be only handful of institutions which can be in that level. Maybe IISc Bangalore or some IITs, I don't know, some central universities or some top state universities may aim to be in the level 5. I'm not sure they will definitely move to level 5. And that is required because now we need to look at how to take our institutions at the global level. When I say our institutions at the global level, I'm not saying that we need to do what MIT is doing or what is Harvard is doing. Harvard is doing what is required for America, but our institution should do what is required for our country. We are only saying The alignment level, we are not talking about we need to replicate what they are doing. We need to align our education system to our country. That is where we need to learn from other countries or other universities. The third one is One Nation, One Data platform. Now, all of your academic, if you are by chance involved in any data collection, submission thing, there are 5-6 agencies: NAC, NBA, NIRF, ASHAPE, UGC, AICTE, all of them. All of them ask for data. And in different periodicity, different formats. And some faculty in their lifetime, they will be working on this data business. Okay? And they also get frustrated. And now, one single recommendation now is build one single platform and all the data to be submitted to only once in one place. This is again a major change. If it is done well, this will reduce the stress at the institution level. It is also helping the agencies which are using the data. Otherwise, we need to collect a different format again and again, validate it. If it's once collected, validated, then that problem is also solved. I mean, there is a lot that we can talk about it. Today, we are talking about 3 types of data. One is common stable data. Look at your institutional registration, your society registration, your land and building, your bank accounts, your the core of institutional data, which doesn't change, right? That we call as common stable data. And there's common variable data. The common variable data is the data about your faculty, students, and your programs. These 3 doesn't change every 3 months, 6 months. It changes every 1 year, 2 year, it will change. This data, the common stable and common variable data, is collected by all the agencies. That we want to put on a single platform, ONOD. Already NIC has started doing this under the ministry's guidance. So first 2 types. Third one is a variable data. What NAC is asking and what NBA is asking or what AICTE is asking is completely different. My NAC data, NBA is not using. NBA collecting some data, I may not use it. So that's a completely variable data. So all 3 types of data will again be in one single platform, collected, validated, and it's made available to the agencies. That is the ultimate goal. Focus on process and outcome and impact. If you today look at NAC's metrics, close to 47% is on input, and the remaining is on process and outcome. But we are just tilting, give more weightage to process and outcome and reduce the weightage to input. This is very common sense, right? The number of classrooms or the size of the library, or whether your library is air conditioned or not air conditioned, or your big auditoriums, none of these things doesn't affect the student learning quality. Okay, but unfortunately we started focusing more and more on infrastructure, missing the core of teaching learning, core of research, core of other activities. Therefore, it is now decided, or it is necessary for us to focus on the outcomes and the process. We say the proof of the pudding is in eating, meaning that if the food is good, when you eat, everything else it is explained, right? The same way we are looking at process and outcome. Consider heterogeneity. The heterogeneity, needless to explain, there are so many variables to define this heterogeneity: urban versus rural, research versus teaching, otherwise, government and private, autonomous, non-autonomous. You can put a lot of classification. So we need to somehow, define and programs for to meet this heterogeneity. And all HA under accreditation. Now today, NITs, IITs, IIITs are not under accreditation. And the policy says everybody should be accredited. And Dr. Radhakrishnan Committee is also saying that every institution should be under accreditation. And IIT Council has in principle agreed that they will come under accreditation. So sooner or later, all institutions will be under accreditation. And amalgamate program accreditation and institution accreditation. That's another challenge. You must have seen, right? Top NIRF ranking institution will have A grade. And A++ institution will have lower NIRF ranking. And 5 programs in an institutions are 6 years accredited in NBA, but their institutional accreditation will be B++. So although there is the objective of each of these evaluations are different, but then there should be some sort of a relationship to the assessment. That's where the focus is. Build a robust outreach mechanism, which we are now doing, and handhold and mentor institutions. I'll just, this of course binary level, first we are going to launch sometime in September. Maybe we are, sir, we are targeting September 16th, our 30th foundation day, for launching binary and also rollout plan for maturity based graded levels, but there are a lot of discussions going on. And we have also committed to government that 90% of the institutions will be accredited in the next 5 years. Today we look at 14% and we are talking about 90% in the next 5 years. And we need to really find out ways and means of achieving this. So what we have done as a preparation towards that is we formed 2 committees as per the approval of the EC. We formed Apex committee and discipline-wise committees. And we also thought stakeholder consultation is very important. We are doing it at 2 levels. Look at the Apex committee, Professor M.K. Sridhar, Dr. N.S. Kalsi, Dr. Agarwal, and Professor T.V. Kattimani, Professor Vasudha Kamath, Professor Sashikala Vanjari, Dr. H.K. Mittal, and Mr. Parasuraman. You may not know, many of you. He is a quality expert. He is from a past president of Toyota Quality, Toyota Engineering. And you can see majority of the people are our people, involved in NEP draft. Look at Professor Sridhar and Professor Kattimani and Professor Vasudha Kamath. They were part of the NEP draft committee. So we wanted to have a continuity. We wanted to keep those people as a starting point so that whatever is stated in NEP policy is finally achieved. And disciplines, there are many disciplines like your law and health sciences and so on. We have onboarded a lot of experts to do that. The discipline committee is supposed to work on the modules under the guidance of the Apex committee and subsequently approved by the executive committee. So what will be achieved once the binary is launched? The first thing is it fulfills the NEP 2020 goals of creating a quality culture among institutions. And to say that, if you focus on quality, there are many opportunities that you can leverage. That is what we want to tell the institutions. Second is a pull approach. Today, the reasons that I cited in the previous slide, nobody is willing to come to NAC, or nobody wants to think about quality through this accreditation process. Now we want to now change our face and say that we are here. You come to us and we will help you to get yourself accredited. And we want to provide all the support to the institutions, and we want to expand our activities beyond Bangalore to other parts of the country and reach out to the institutions and to say that you come forward for accreditation. And a simple and transparent process. Although even today we claim our process is transparent, but there are people, critics that say, no, your process is not transparent. Okay. So, but in the binary, it will be simple and transparent. And objective assessment, meaning the entire assessment is quantitative based with very less scope for qualitative, which we are now trying to devise a mechanism to look at the qualitative aspect. Shorter cycle time. We are today thinking that in 1 month time, we will get you the accreditation, which is currently 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. In the binary, we want to target 1 month cycle time. And appropriate fee. The fee is another deterrent. We charge 2 lakh rupees for colleges, 6 lakh rupees for universities. There are many government colleges. 2 lakhs is a big money for them. And getting approval for the 2 lakhs, they need to go up to secretary to get approval. And that is a major problem. Now, although there is a scheme now, all the government colleges, the fee is reimbursed. Now, we are now looking at how to reduce the fee to such a level so that that is not a criteria, that is not an issue for an institution to come for accreditation. Accommodate variability, and it is also preparation for maturity levels. So this slide we have done about close to 50 meetings during the period of last 5-6 months. And we had one meeting where we brought all the discipline committees, each having about 5-6 members, and the Apex committee in Bangalore. We ran a 2-day workshop to understand the requirements at a high level. Then we started working. Then we started consulting with institutions. Close to 4,000 institutions participated in the first round, and we also circulated questionnaire to collect the feedback before we started the work. And then today we got the framework ready, the draft framework, and which has these features. The progressive alignment with NEP 2020. If you look at the metrics, I think close to 20 to 25% of the metrics is directly picked up from NEP. You be it Indian knowledge system, be it at value education, be it at Bharatiya Bhasha, everything is now incorporated as part of the accreditation process. And 10 attributes of quality. Earlier we had 7 attributes, now it becomes 10 attributes directly taken from the Dr. Radhakrishnan committee recommendation. Those are divided into input, process and outcome and impact. I mean, I just take about 30 seconds to talk to you about, all of us should clearly understand input, process we understand. There is something called output, outcome and impact. Okay, we need to be very clear. Today most of us are capturing output, we are not talking about outcome and the impact of the outcome. Now increasingly we will start focusing on the impact, meaning whatever you have created and how is it is impacting over a period of next 2 years, 3 years to the student, to the society and so on is what should be measured. Focus on process and outcome, I talked about it. We are introducing something called uniqueness, impact and situatedness. Now, one of the challenges because of our diversity is, I already mentioned that, you have institutions in urban areas and tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, village, completely rural. Now, Government of India has got the aspirational district. There are about 112 districts identified throughout the nation called aspirational districts, which are basically underdeveloped and specific initiatives are being placed in those districts. Now, if you look at the institutions, the institution grows in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and you create uniqueness in your institutions. What are the uniqueness possibility in today's context? You can probably look at enhancing employability of students. You must have devised certain strategies, certain resources you brought, certain methodologies you used to improve the employability of students. When you compare yourself with institutions in your own category or your own region, and you are doing far better than them, correct? So it's possible. And you may have a very good faculty policy. You may have a good system of identifying, recruiting, retaining and rewarding faculty members. Okay, there are institutions like that. Okay, good faculty policy. Faculty retention is very high in those institutions. It may be unique in your institution. Or you may look at providing lot of support for research. Give a seed grant. Allow them to go and attend conferences. Give them certain other facilities, common facilities in your institution, so that people get motivated to research. And you reward people doing good publications, getting IPRs and things like that. There are institutions like that. Spend sizable percentage of their total expenditure on research. Okay, you can do that. Look at beyond the institution. You can look at your community around. Use Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. Identify some 5 villages. Completely change the way the village is today. Take 2 years, 3 years, and prove with numbers that you are able to achieve that in that neighborhood. Or you look at, all of you know Kalinga University in Odisha, and they are supporting lot of the tribal students, and close to, I was told, 30,000 students or something. You identify a unique opportunity in the society and focus on that. There is a university called JSS in Mysore. You know what they are doing? They are taking dumb and deaf children, thousands of them, and they are now providing boarding, food, everything, and they are making them live happily in the society, be able to contribute to the system. Am I making sense? You may focus on first generation graduates. There are places in which boys and girls don't even go to higher schools, and if you can focus on getting them to higher education, then that is unique contribution. If you are able to improve number of girl students in your institution, the national average is the X, but my regional average is this, but as an institution I have taken explicit efforts to see girls are coming to college. So this uniqueness if you can create, and that is now being in the new process captured and a credit is given. Am I making sense? So beyond all these metrics and all that, this uniqueness that you can submit as part of the accreditation, you will get credit. The other thing is situatedness. Completely the opposite. Look at Northeast, look at Odisha, Jharkhand, Bihar, or many other states. There are no access to physical facilities. The college do not have any computers. There is no internet access, no good library. Faculty are not going there because it's very remote. And the faculty only get salary, they don't even go to the colleges. Correct? Those institutions should also be accredited, right? There should be quality to those students also. It's not quality only for urban students. Quality is there for rural students also. Now, how do we recognize their inherent challenges and give them the benefit in the accreditation process? What are the two possibilities? You as an institution located in a rural area may say that I had these inherent challenges. But in the last 3 years, we have put an approach, methodology, and we are overcoming out of that challenge. You can create that complete documentation and give it to NAC and you get a credit. Or today you have not done it, but you can give a plan saying that these are my challenges, these are my plans to overcome these challenges. There again they can get a credit. So that is the biggest change in the, it is actually started by Professor M.K. Sridharji that we should do something like this. And then basic classification, university autonomous affiliated colleges, metrics will be different for different types and due consideration for disciplines. Now this is a slightly serious slide. Look at this framework. It talks about 10 attributes. Okay. And the first 4 in green color are input attributes, which includes curriculum, faculty resources, infrastructure, financial resources and management. Together it constitutes 225 points out of 900 points. And then 5, 6, 7 talks about learning and teaching. We tweaked it to teaching to learning because learning should be the focus, not the teaching should be the focus. And NEP talks about it. And the second one is extended curricular engagements. The extended curricular engagement is your co-curricular and extracurricular activities. NEP doesn't want to differentiate these two, the curricular and co-curricular. Everything is one. It is for student development. Something happens inside the classroom, something happens outside the classroom. That's the only difference. Don't differentiate it by different name is what NEP is saying. Therefore, we call it as extended curricular activities. And governance and administration, you look at 325 for process. The thirdly, student outcomes, research and innovation outcomes, sustainability outcomes including green initiatives, 350 points. Together it constitutes 900. Okay, this is for the university. This will again undergo some changes after the consultation. We did 2 workshops, one in Bangalore, one yesterday in Bhubaneswar. We are getting a lot of feedback. So we may slightly change this, but it's the basic framework. And the uniqueness and situatedness, 100 points. So the institution will be able to provide 1 or 2 uniqueness with a lot of data to substantiate that the uniqueness is achieved, or the situatedness to a maximum of 100 points they will get for that. Now look at autonomous colleges. It is slightly different, where the outcomes are little reduced and the process is getting increased. Okay. And the third one is affiliated college. You can see more focus on process, because today in affiliated colleges, if you ask for all outcomes, as in the case of university, they will not be able to score, because many of the things are with the university and they have very less flexibility to change the curriculum or delivery or other activities. So our thinking is that if those institutions, though they are not able to show outcomes, but if they put in processes over a period of time, they will be able to achieve. So the focus is on a process. I just put another slide which is very comparative. You can look at this, comparison, 225, 225, 275. We give more weightage for input as far as affiliated college is concerned. To that extent, the outcome is reduced to 225 in the case of colleges. The highest in process is given to affiliated colleges. Okay. Now, these are the number of metrics today that we have identified, as many as 59 for universities, 55 for autonomous colleges, and 44 for affiliated colleges. And the current number of metrics in current methodology is 84, we have reduced to 59 for the binary accreditation. Moving on to the other important aspects, eligibility. Only 2 batches of students graduate. Any institution which has graduated 2 batches of students are eligible. There are no other conditions. Meaning a 3-year degree, fifth year they can apply. If it is 4-year degree, 6th year. If it is medical, 5 years, 7 years. That's the only eligibility criteria. And secondly, data for only 3 years. No 5-year data. Okay, and the validity is also not for 5 years, it's only for 3 years. And one major change is the data validation, which is currently done through third-party agencies, will completely changed. You all understand the peer team visits, right? I don't know, most of you must have experienced peer team visits in your colleges. Peer team visit, what happens is faculty of one or 2 colleges go to another colleges, right, to check the college. Same logic is applied in peer data validation. We found, after I became the director, we reviewed the validation partners. There are validation partners where one BA graduate with 1 year experience sitting and validating the data. It's not possible. That person will not have an understanding of what an institution, teaching, learning, research. So we realized that this is not working. And of course there are other challenges involving private partners. So now data of one institution will be validated by another institution. Okay. But in research we call it a single blind review. The validating institute will know which institution is getting validated, but the target institution will not know who is validating. Am I making sense? So if I validate another institution, they will not know I am validating, but I will know because I am looking at the documents of the institution. Okay, that is what is going to be achieved. Already 32 institutions have given expression of interest to become a data validation partners. Mostly government said we start with Government of India institutions, NITs, IITs, IIITs, and we will onboard central universities. We will also onboard top state universities over a period of time. So our target is to have 50 data validation partner institutions to validate the data. And then you look at online visits, no physical visit. The complete peer team visit is removed. Okay, that's the biggest change. That's the biggest issue also. So in exceptional cases, we will do online visits. Wherever you can know the data comes from the institution, parallelly 2 valuations will be done by 2 partners. Okay, then the value is compared. Obviously, there will be a variation between 2 evaluations. Like when we check papers, obviously we have variations. Now, if the variation is within the limit, we will allow. Just take an average and allow. If the variations is more between 2 evaluations, then we will do an online visit. In that, we will go and get the people of the institutions and ask why this data, where is the proof for this data. And particularly if the questions relate to physical facilities or library or such things, then we will ask them to demonstrate through an online visit. And consultation with state level officials, consultative workshops, mentoring rural institutions. That is the biggest thing that we are going to put a lot of funds into it and appoint retired senior professors to become mentors of those rural institutions. In fact, we can gather from our own community, a lot of people can get onboarded to become mentors to help the rural institutions. And also annual data submission, that AQARs. And one big change is also that we are going to onboard additional agencies, meaning along with the NAC, there will be other agencies appointed by NAC will be doing this accreditation. However, they will use our methodology, framework, process, our own technology platform to do that. We will have a very high level committee to monitor this. This is also as envisaged by NEP 2020 and also by Dr. Radhakrishnan committee. It is generally now government is saying that we will only put government institutions, government entities as the another agency. Now IIT Delhi, IIT Bombay, they all are setting up Section 8 companies to run this agencies. And of course others can also get onboarded. But there is another thought that we will still allow good private agencies to become accrediting agencies along with NAC. But I think I'm not sure whether such a decision is going to be implemented initially, but over a period of time it may be implemented. So this, of course, we have put this in our website. There are a lot of questions about what happens. I am an accredited institution today. When do I go to binary, or when do I go to multiple levels? So this we have put in our website. Very simple, that if you are an accredited institution, your validity exists today and for another 3, 4, 5 years, and you can continue to hold that validity. You can decide whenever the levels are introduced, you can decide to go to levels. Or you can continue to be the old accreditation grade, and at the expiry, before expiry, you go to levels. There are institutions which are, now their validity is expiring. After July, August, September, it is expiring. For those, we said we will extend your validity until the levels are introduced. There are 2,000 institutions in the pipeline now, and we are telling them you can continue in the process as per old methodology, or you can opt for binary. These are the 3 situations. And an institution which is not accredited under anything have to go to binary. So if you are not accredited in the past, then you need to go only to binary. So we are doing a lot of consultations, and this is a photograph that of yesterday's day for yesterday's in Bhubaneswar, state official. This is the audience that we had in Bangalore. Close to 1,000 institutions participated in the consultative workshop. I am showing this because there is a movement happening now, thinking that everybody is keen to participate in accreditation, want to know about what is this binary accreditation. Okay, we wanted 800 institutions participate, 1,000 institutions participated in South region. Okay. Now, to help the institution, we are looking at self-learning modules on how to prepare data and all that, captive faculty orientation programs, media briefings, social media campaigns, 24/7 help desk. It doesn't happen in government entities. We are going to create a 24/7 help desk in which an institution can call at 11 o'clock in the night. In 3.4.1 metrics, what is this matrix, how do I enter data? Somebody will be there to help. That is the level at which we want to support the institutions. And of course, the rural institutions which I talked about. Okay, I'll just stop here. Thank you.